Hello and welcome to All Sorts of Esports. This is the third episode of a three-part series of where I'm overviewing teams and all the new descriptions and their histories of what's going on in the North American LCS, the European LCS, and LCK in League of Legends esports. So this last episode in North America, I'll be going over CLG, Longzhu Gaming, Optic Gaming, Clutch Gaming, and Team Liquid, and then I'll be going over FC Schalke in Europe, and then Longzhu Gaming in Korea, as well as notable bot laners, AD carry, and support all over the globe. So to start off, we're going to start with CLG. So CLG, this is probably the most stable of all the three teams coming from last season. So nothing really happened with CLG that was too crazy or too assumable. So in the top lane, we have Darshan. He's always been a solid rock with some extremely high points in his career for CLG and way long ago for Dignitas as Zion Spartan. So I think this is an obvious, a great keep for him. Personally, I think he's up there with Hanser as being a really good laner. Even though he's had some rough patches, the laning is great. It's where the team fights that CLG, I think, has struggled the most in the past year, and Darshan just is kind of an addition to an already bad team fighting team. And then in the jungle, we got Reignover. So Reignover came over from a very rough stint in Team Liquid. So CLG had Omar God and Dardoch this past 2 seasons, and they were looking for a change. They obviously needed something to be done. They didn't make it to Worlds, which is a big goal for CLG to do well at Worlds, and obviously you have to make it to Worlds to do well. So I think a Reignover is a very obvious pick. Reignover has had a bunch of experience, and we will finally see if this is Reignover falling down and not being as good of a player anymore, or if it was just Team Liquid was a really bad team for him, and he's going to strive to new heights just like he did. He was on Incredible Miracle for 2 years, way back in the day. Then he went to Fnatic, where he had that huge year. They went to semifinals with like the Huni Reignover team, and then from there he went to Immortals, and him and Huni followed each other to Immortals, and then he went to Team Liquid, and that's where they dropped off. It was really the Huni era that he did best in, and I'd love to see him to do well without Huni, because I think that's a really big deal that would be big for him, as well as just his showcase of I don't need Huni to be a good player. And next we got Huhi. So Huhi, just another solid player, very underwhelming like years ago, but this past year was great. Sorry about that, my camera turned off, so hopefully it'll be good for the rest of the video now. I was talking about Huhi. So Huhi, he had a great past year. He really moved up in the ranks. He was always a bottom half mid laner, as most analysts and casters said throughout pretty much all the seasons that he's been a player, but he really stepped up this past year. Stats-wise, team-wise, and just watching him play was all really great. So looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. Maybe he can contest Bjergsen for that top spot in North America. And next, we got the bot lane. So Stixxay, I think he's going to stick on CLG for a while. So he's still an AD carry. He got brought up from CLG Black, their academy team. So I look as though he's probably going to stick with CLG for a long time, since he seems happy with them. Since he could have went from a different team once he got on CLG from CLG Black. And then secondly, we got Biofrost. So Biofrost moved over from TSM. Biofrost has 100% win percentage of the North American LCS. He's won all 4 splits that he's been a part of. So it's pretty nuts. Wait, all 3. I think all 3. 3 or 4. And yeah, it's definitely 3, because he came in 2 summers ago. So it's great to see him succeed as a new player, but is he going to succeed with not as strong a roster around him? He really lacks communication skills, which is what Reginald said in his latest interview with Travis. But CLG thinks they can bring out the best in Biofrost, and they don't need that from Biofrost, since they have Darshan and Reignover now, which are very strong voices in comms in game, supposedly. And lastly, we got Ziggs, who Ziggs will hopefully be able to make Biofrost the best player he can be without creating something that he doesn't need to be. He's a veteran coach with great skills of everything pretty much. He knows exactly what a team should look like, what a team needs to do, and things like that. He has analysts behind him, but he really knows what a team should be. And almost everyone who's worked with him has expressed that. All right, next we got big switch ups for the next 3 teams. So the first one is Team Liquid. We got the biggest roster change, the biggest money that it looks like from the outside going into Team Liquid. So on top we got Impact, then Jungle like Smithy, mid, pole belter, AD carry, double lift, and support Ole. So this is a stacked team. It looks like TSM from season 6, I believe, when they brought in like Yellow Star and they had that very star-studded team. And we're gonna see how it works out. I think it really just depends on if they mesh well. It could be TSM all over again. That TSM team went 6th place that season, even though they had a very star-studded team, where this pretty much looks like the exact same deal. The biggest thing that I see is where is the shot calling. So supposedly Smithy this past year really grew on his shot calling and has made a bunch of improvements, but we can only just speculate, and I think this team is either going to be top 2 or bottom 3, honestly. I really don't see them being bottom at all because they're just so gifted mechanically. They might even make it to Worlds, but if they're not clashing well together, then they're not going to do well at Worlds. But hopefully they make a great team for this coming Worlds, because I think this team is very, very hypey. And it has the old Immortals players, and Immortals was a great team, and they kind of fixed what was wrong with Immortals in the AD carry and the top lane positions. They got Impact, which is the same communication-wise, not too much, a little language barrier, but then Double Lift is a huge upgrade, in my opinion, and most opinions, over Cody Sun. Even though Cody Sun's really good, just he's no Double Lift, and if Double Lift's history has anything to do with what he's going to do this season, he's going to be a big player again. So we should see great plays from there. And then Ole, I actually did not really know where Ole came from before he got on Immortals. So he started in Pain Gaming, then he went to Hong Kong Esports, and then Immortals, and now Team Liquid. So he had a great stint on Immortals, and we should really see him even playmaking more. So pole belter is that consistent player, and so is Smithy, that you'll always get great play out of them, just all across the board. And the bot lane is definitely gonna have to mesh. That's what I see not meshing the most. So it's either gonna be big wins or big losses from the bot lane if this team wants to succeed or lose. And then lastly, we got Coach Kane. So Kane has been in from March 2017 with Team Liquid, and we know that Team Liquid had huge success this past year, right? That's sarcastic. They didn't do very well at all. So they're keeping the coach, supposedly. It's not confirmed, but it's all we got right now. So we should really be interested in what they're bringing in for coaches, because he just did not do well this past 2 seasons for Team Liquid, so I'd be very surprised to see him stay. And then next, we got the Prove It team, in my opinion, Optic Gaming. So all these players are people who have been around a long time, a few, like 2 rookies, I think, just really 1 rookie, Acadian, but these people have been around for a long time, and they have to prove that they got something to play for. Otherwise, I think they might get dropped by maybe like next season. So we got Zig. So Zig started on, well, he didn't start, but he played for Team Liquid way back in the day, and then he moved to Phoenix 1, where he had good splits, and then now he's on Optic Gaming. He's actually been playing since 2011, which I found super interesting, because I didn't know him until he subbed and played on Team Liquid a few years ago, I think 2 years ago. And then we got Acadian. So Acadian was the solo queue god. He came in screaming into Echo Fox and just did not perform. That whole team did not perform, so you can't look at his history to figure out how well he's actually going to do this coming season. He's always been very vocal that he thinks that he's one of the best junglers in the West. So I think it should be exciting, maybe see a little trash talk if they start doing well, because I think Acadian is one to trash talk, but not, it was difficult on Echo Fox since they just didn't really do that well. So it should be awesome to see what he has in store. And then next, we got Power of Evil. So Power of Evil made the big splash this past Worlds on Misfits. They took SKT all the way to 5 games in quarterfinals, and Power of Evil definitely did his part on the team. It was really a team game, and it showed how well Misfits was as a team, but Power Vivo was playing against Faker, so obviously he had to do something right to even get that far, because lots of people just lose the game in laning phase against Faker. So that's really great to see. Very debatable topic for him coming over from Europe, since he always said he was a European guy and that's what he liked. So there's lots of controversy over that, but I respect that it shows stability over in North America, shows more money, and kind of can show his talent. Even though Europe has always made it farther, hopefully this coming year North America will do better at Worlds, because we are actually buying more talent, we're seeing more stability, and just better teams in general, because all the teams look pretty dang stacked this coming year, so it should be interesting. And I think that's what Power Vivo was looking at as well when he decided to switch to Optic. And then next, we got the bot lane Arrow and Elimination. So Arrow's coming from Phoenix 1. He had a very high strength performance on Phoenix 1, and he got MVP that one split, and he was just an overall great player, but they never had awesome success except for in the regular season. So I think it should be awesome to see what he can do with the very sketchy pickup of Elimination. So Elimination's coming from the Cloud9, Cloud9 originally, then the Cloud9 Challenger team, and then FlyQuest, and now he's on Optic Gaming. So he's always been a very low mechanical player, and it should be interesting to see if he can get better, because he's only getting older, and most people, once they get older, they start not practicing as much, things like that. I would love Elimination to succeed and do something good this split, because he's really just kind of been dropping off. No one really knows him anymore, even though he was once a household name in esports, League of Legends. So yeah, Elimination's definitely the biggest toss-up of this whole team, and I think if they can get their style rolling, maybe they can dominate in the regular season. I don't see them really doing well spring split in getting to finals or anything like that, but if they can find their one strength, their one play style that they can play really well, I think that they could dominate the best of ones in the regular season. And lastly, for North America, we got Clutch Gaming. So Clutch Gaming, they had an interview with Travis this past week, and they were very confident in going to the season. Supposedly, they used all these statistics and things like that to pick who they wanted on the team. So mathematically, they have the best team they could, which is really crazy, because then they kind of went back on themselves throughout the interview, and they said when we saw Forbidden, we had him signed in less than 24 hours, and they they were Skyping him in less than an hour. So I really don't believe the whole statistic thing, and I don't think we'll ever get a backstory. I don't think it's that big a deal, but I just think that they're coming in with really maybe a big head and thinking that they're a really great team, but they have not been in the league that long. And the owner is a new owner, so we should really just see how interesting it is and how big, if their players follow their organization leaders in thinking that they're the best team, because I like a big head, I like confidence when people are rolling into the season, so I think it should be awesome, and I like leadership being so vocal as well. So in the top lane, we got Solo. So Solo's been on Cloud9 Challenger, Ember, Echo Fox, Team Liquid Academy, Team Liquid Sub, Gold Coin United, and now he finally landed on Clutch Gaming. So they talked about how this is one of the biggest growers on the team. Even though he's been on all those teams, he still has a lot of space to grow, and hopefully this very, I don't want to say standard team, but a very consistent team can grow with the Lyra Solo kind of carrying the games, because when I look at the mid and bottom of the map, it looks very consistent and kind of boring, not too playmakey. So I think the top lane and the jungle really have to carry together to really make a splash in these games. And then next we got Lyra. So Lyra's he's just a star waiting to shine. I think he was always kind of just on crappy teams, kind of like Acadian. Acadian and him are very similar. They are great players, great mechanically, and they can carry games if their team is not feeding. So I think he's just a toss-up. It could be like Rainover, where he just shines and then he dulls out with the bad teams, because it's very hard to carry from the jungle if your lanes are losing. Going on to Forbidden, someone who will definitely not be losing lane, hopefully. He came from Cloud9 Eclipse all the way to H2K, and then he went on the Fnatic team with Reckless, and then he went back to H2K, and then he traveled over from Europe to North America, which is now Clutch Gaming. So this is his first split in North America, and he's just had a really consistent history. He's always done well. He's probably always been top 4 mid laners for sure in Europe. And yeah, his only notable thing is really besides the World's Run, he got 2nd place with Fnatic in 2016 at IEM. They only took 2nd place to SKT, which got 1st. So that's a really big achievement. I think he's kind of the Ryu of EU. Joke. He is a consistent player that can just let these younger players thrive around him. And even though Solo's not young, he's really getting up there in the years played. He's young in the LCS. So I think it should be very interesting to see that top lane kind of come in with that veteran mid laner. And then lastly, we have Apollo and Hakuo. So in my opinion, if you're looking at statistics, this bottom lane is not winning. So supposedly they had an interview with Hakuo and they loved him. So if they love the interview, that doesn't really mean statistics brought him in. So that's another just contradictory. Hakuo just played for Renegades and then he joined Apollo on Envy. So this is just their bot lane transferring over with Lyra. So hopefully we'll see some good collaboration with those 3 former Envy players. And yeah, there's just not too much to talk about this bot lane. They could either be the next big thing like Stixxay was on CLG like 2 years ago, or they could just kind of go down in the dumps like Lod on Dignitas. He didn't do that well. Or like Keith, he's kind of sucking right now too. So we'll just see where they end up. And then their coach is David Lim, D-Lim. Don't really have too much information on him, just kind of a standard coach. Hopefully he can do well, because I think that coaching is still lacking in North American LCS. So I hope that he can do a good job and impress these guys on the team. So next we got, going to the European LCS, we got FC Schalke 04. So it looks like this team's looking a little like Vitality from last year, with 1 rookie and then a little veteran status as well. So we got top lane Vizichachi. He came from Unicorns of Love. Very solid past year, very solid past 2 or 3 years. I think he got MVP this past summer. Just a great player. No complaints here. I think he's the most prized top laner in Europe this past season. Everyone was wanting him, so it was good to see him get on at least a team in general, hopefully for good money. Since most of European LCS is not signed still or not announced, you can assume that he was one of the first pickings, and then after that they're kind of looking around the Challenger and things like that. Going to jungle, we got Pride Stalker. So he's been academy team hopping since like 2016. He ended up on Team Roccat and now he's on FC Schalke. Don't have really much information on him, but it should be interesting to see what this newbie can bring to the league. And then we got Nuke Duck. So Nuke Duck was a household league name way back in the day. I feel like I know him, but I don't really know what he's done. I was looking on his Leaguepedia, and he's just had a cluster of teams that he's been on, and like good splits and bad splits, but he ended on Vitality, I think, yeah, 2015 actually, to just this past summer he was on Vitality. So he's obviously been in the league a long time, so that shows that he must be somewhat good if teams keep picking him up. I think he's a lot like Froggen, where he's a good player, but he's just never been lucky enough to get on a good team, because that's a lot about League of Legends. To be honest, you have to be on a good team to really be a good player if you're not someone like Faker. And going to the bot lane, we got Upset and Vander. They're just a standard European bot lane. Good enough. They'll sit back in team fights and just kind of do damage and kind of clean up, which isn't a bad thing at all. That's what AD carry is supposed to do, stay alive. So they're not really the make or break of the team, I don't think. They'll just kind of do their thing. It's really going to come up to that Pride Stalker and Nuke Duck synergy of just how well they're working together. And lastly, we got the biggest pickup for their team that I think, maybe besides Vizichachi, we have Crepo. So I just am very impressed with this pickup. It's great to see him coaching again. Even though I love him on the caster desk for European LCS, it's going to be super awesome to see him watch. I think he's going to be the onstage coach, so that should be awesome. He's famous for his itemizations and his micro play, so obviously they'll get more analysts, I assume. And yeah, I'm super excuse me, I'm super pumped to see him back in the scene after that unfortunate public stuff that went on like a year ago. So yeah, that should be very exciting, and I'm happy to see him in a suit and tie for another team. And lastly, we got LCK. So this episode's team is Longzhu Gaming, the summer champions of LCK. They went 31-13 last summer, and why I'm saying that is because their team didn't change, except for one big change in the jungle. We got Peanut. So Peanut's coming over from duo jungling on SKT. Now he's gonna duo jungle with Cuz. So yeah, he's hopefully can unlock himself, is what Reddit said, from like the shackles of SKT. I don't remember if he actually said it or if it was assumed or like paraphrased or something, but he felt like he couldn't do exactly what he wanted in the jungle when he was jungling for SKT, because they just needed someone consistent. Since they had like Faker, Huni, very flashy, very good players, the jungle just kind of had to not do really poorly and they'd be okay. So Peanut, hopefully we bring out his old Rocks awesomeness and see some good Peanut plays. And Cuz is also good as well. They really got the two varying styles with this pickup, so I think that's great for the jungle, which I think is the best position to have a sub in, because you have those aggressive junglers like Lee and Nidalee and Kane, hopefully this coming season. And then you got the tank style junglers, all those different ones like Gragas and Sejuani. And yeah, it should be very interesting to see this coming season of what they exactly do with the sub and if they make good use or not. And then in the top lane, we got Khan. In the mid lane, we got BDD, who, random stat of the day, he had 1 quadra kill this past season in the summer. And then in AD carry, we got Praying Gorilla, supposedly the most prized bot lane in Korea, and maybe the world, since Korea's probably the best, definitely the best. So yeah, I think we can expect this team to do very, very well again, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play again. And lastly, we got notable bot laners. So in AD carry, we got Cody-san, who did very well in North America for Immortals last season and really should find a team. We might see him on 100 Thieves, there's been rumors, but who knows, 100 Thieves with Aphromoo was finally confirmed this past week as well. So my last video, when we were assuming that was correct. Then we got Keith, who used to be on Echo Fox, and he had some time on Team Liquid and a little time on TSM, I think. And then we got Rikara, who's always been just this high-level challenger player who's everyone seems to look at, but no one actually seems to pick up. And then we got Lod, who was on Dignitas, and I can't remember the team he was on before that, but he did very well on the team before Dig. And I don't remember what team it was, but I know he was very solid. And it's weird to see him not in the league. But yeah, there's a lot of good AD carries in the free agent list here. And then we got Freeze, who was very good as well. We have Piglet, who finally got dropped off Team Liquid after like the past 3 years or whatever it was. So that's pretty crazy to see. I think it's good for both parties. Piglet just needed to get out of there. And then we got Forgiven, who still is iffy if he's even wants to play or not in the league, or if he can. And then lastly, we got Nuclear, who was a very good AD carry as well, has been for a very long time. And then in the support, we got Big. So Big played for Phoenix 1, I think, back in the day, but then he had his biggest splash on Echo Fox, I think. Don't quote me on that. I know he's just a very average player, and I don't need to see him in the league. I don't like look for his plays, so I'm okay with him being a free agent right now. Maybe he can pick up an academy team and show his worth there. And then we got Sheep, Xpecial, Zazal, and Mad Life. So the two big ones right there are Xpecial and Mad Life. Veterans, always been good at the game, and I'm hoping to see them this coming season because they've been really big playmakers. And yeah, I just don't want to see them retire yet because my veteran league watcher still wants to see them in, but I also understand that there has to be fresh talent in the game always coming. So that, I guess, does it for what I wanted to talk about this past 2 weeks now. We talked about all 10 North American LCS teams. We talked about 3 European LCS teams because none of the European LCS teams are finished, really. And then we talked about 3 Korean teams. I really only follow the top half of Korea, so it is difficult to talk about those bottom half ones, so I just skipped over it. And yeah, this off season has been a wild ride so far. yeah, not too much to say. I think that these 4 teams that I talked about this episode, so CLG, Team Liquid, Optic Gaming, and Clutch Gaming, are really 4 teams that are extremely iffy. They could be at the top or they could be at the bottom. We don't really know where, well, I don't really know where they're gonna be. So speaking of that, I'm also gonna do a video of the rankings of North American LCS, of what I think, or where I think they'll be at the end of the year. And I'm also gonna do European LCS when I finally see those rosters officially announced, because we still have more than a few teams to see announced for Europe LCS. And that's about it. I have a Twitter that I'm starting to get going a little more now, so make sure to look at that. That'd be totally awesome. I'll link in the bio below. There should be timestamps well, I guess it doesn't matter if you watch the whole thing. Timestamps don't matter anymore. And yeah, look for my next video of rating teams, and also look out for my Overwatch League content. I'm going to be starting a new channel about learning about Overwatch League, because I don't know anything, lots of other people don't know anything, so I'm just going to post episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, learning about what's happening in Overwatch League, how it works, things like that. I think it should be a really fun way to learn it, and I hope you can too. Just set the phone down and listen to it and learn a little bit with me. I'll try and summarize what I find as best I can. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on that alert so you can get that alert right away, because some stuff hopefully in the future will be pretty breaking news. So yeah, I think that's it. Make sure to tell your friends if they got esports interests to watch my videos, and comment any additional questions or comments that you have. Thanks.